من القاهرة وبالتحديد من جاردن سيتي من السفارة الأمريكية. بيسعدني ويشرفني لقاء قنصل الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية بالقاهرة مس صوفيا أودينيل. أهلا وسهلا. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
It is a pleasure, to meet with you this afternoon. And really, I know how busy you are. Your daily schedule is so busy, so really appreciate the time that you give it to us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. How's Egypt?
Very well, thank you.
So what kind of service you provided?
In the consular section, we provide both routine and emergency services for American citizens either living in Egypt or traveling to Egypt. Some routine services include renewing your passport, for example, or if you give birth to a baby in Egypt and need to transmit your citizenship to that child born in Egypt, then it's us who process the documentation for that child.
That's for American citizens, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Is any restriction for Americans to visit Egypt?
There are no restrictions on American citizens visiting Egypt, either from the Egyptian side or from the American side.
The Americans, when they arrive to Egypt, they have to register in the embassy or the consul?
Right, thanks for bringing that up. The United States has a consular information program where we provide information about every country in the world for travelers, American citizens who might be interested in traveling to those countries. In Egypt, we do want to give information about traveling to Egypt and any potential risks that they might confront traveling in Egypt.
Okay.
There are regions of the country, specifically those that the Egyptian authorities restrict as well, for example, the border regions or northern Sinai, where we do caution Americans from traveling. That's right.
Caution Americans from traveling anywhere in the world, I think
We do provide information about every country in the world about what risks, and these risks include health risks. They include information about potential natural disasters like hurricanes. They also provide information about security risks like potential terrorism or things like that.
So how visitors can get this information? It's online?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, online, the Consular Affairs website, which is travel.state.gov, has information about every country, as well as our website.
So for American citizen to be over here in Egypt, and if he's he has unfortunately lost his passport,
sure,
there's a process to go through to have the new passport or documents to travel back, or how does it work?
Certainly. That's a great example of the emergency services that we provide to American citizens in Egypt. If an American loses a passport or his passport is stolen, then we encourage that American to make a police report as soon as possible and to bring that to us to apply for a new passport right away. It's helpful if the American citizen has a photocopy of their previous passport, but if they don't, we're generally able to help verify their citizenship and get them an emergency passport to help them travel as soon as possible.
Oh, just like an emergency passport? Is it a temporary passport or
correct?
Or
yes,
a regular passport?
We're able to process an emergency passport, which is a limited validity passport here in our embassy for people who are traveling soon. We can also process a full validity passport here, but it takes a few weeks for that process.
A few weeks to get the actual passport?
A full validity passport, which for adults is 10 years, generally takes a few weeks to process.
Oh,
That's
this
correct.
kind of emergency, yeah. So how about if someone got some kind of a medical emergency?
Sure,
and
certainly.
he doesn't know anybody in the country, so
that's
he
exactly
knows only
right.
the consular section.
Yes, that's another service that we want to provide for Americans traveling here. On our website, our U.S. Embassy Cairo website, we have a list of local resources, which includes hospitals in different regions throughout Egypt that Americans can use should they need to do so while they're here.
And does you help financially or insure, because the insurance, I believe, doesn't work here.
You're right. You're right.
So
most hospitals in Egypt do not accept U.S. health insurance plans. And the U.S. Embassy is unable to pay for medical bills abroad. So that's why it's very important for American citizens who travel abroad to carry health insurance that would support them during their travel abroad. That may be through their own health plans in the U.S., or they may need to buy supplemental travel insurance while they're traveling.
And I believe this is very, very important to have traveler insurance.
Absolutely.
I think
it's extremely important.
It's not that it's not that expensive.
It's generally not expensive, and it's extremely helpful while you're abroad. Many health plans in the United States do not cover health insurance while traveling overseas.
So, so when we're talking about American, we're talking about American citizen that could be Egyptian as well.
That's correct.
He has dual nationalities. So
the United States, for us, it does not matter if an American citizen holds the nationality of another country. If they hold another passport, it doesn't matter. All American citizens are equal under our eyes.
That's what we see all the time.
We provide them with the same services.
Getting into the airport here with the American passport, or maybe carry, because the government, both government allowed to have dual nationalities.
That's correct.
So what you advise, to come in here with the Egyptian passport or the American passport and leaving the country with the same passport?
So that's really a question for the Egyptian authorities. The United States, an American citizen must enter the United States on a U.S. passport. So any American citizen needs to hold a U.S. passport and enter the United States that way. Egypt has its own rules and may or may not permit an American citizen with Egyptian nationality to enter on an American or a Egyptian passport. That's up to Egypt.
Yeah, if it's an American passport, it doesn't matter what he has, but you're dealing with American passport as an American citizen.
The U.S. Embassy does, that's correct. But as far as whether Egyptian immigration will allow an Egyptian national to enter Egypt on a U.S. passport, that's a question only the Egyptian authorities can answer.
Yeah, so and you have 24 hours, like kind of an emergency 24 hours, you can speak to someone here in the embassy, or? We do. We have what we call an embassy duty officer that answers the phone 24 hours a day and can answer the call, any emergency calls after business hours. Yeah, I see that's like, when I come, I feel like here now I'm in the safest place in the world. You mean because you're in the U.S. Embassy? Yes, absolutely. With the security, with the kind of security you have, it's perfect. That's needed. But the thing is, for someone that he has an issue or he needs to speak to someone, and he will have an access to the building here. I mean, of course, he has to go through the security measures, but he will have an access, let's say, afternoon or evening time. That's a good question. So our embassy, our consular section, provides emergency services during business hours. So if an American citizen has an emergency after business hours, we generally will try to help them over the phone to contact local resources. An American citizen might need to contact the police, or they might need to visit a hospital, or they might need access to a local lawyer. And we can help provide those resources and provide information about those resources after hours. But after business hours, we are not allowed to permit even American citizens onto the premises. So if someone actually facing something legally or has been a problem, legal problem or issue with the government, so how does the consular section interfere with this? Sure. Well, the United States Embassy, and this is true worldwide, consular section, we do not provide legal advice to people. We can provide a list of local lawyers who have given their willingness to assist American citizens. These are lawyers who have they have good reputations, they have bilingual staff members so they can assist both Arabic and English speakers, and they can help people who have legal problems here in Egypt. And that list is also provided on our website. Yeah, but if someone has been caught by mistake by the police or the authorities here, does the consular find out, what's the issue, trying to resolve it? Or? So under international conventions, the United States and Egypt have agreed to notify each other if there are each other's citizens have been arrested or detained. And our consular responsibility is to gain access to U.S. citizens who are incarcerated in Egypt, and we do that from time to time when U.S. citizens are detained here in Egypt. Yes. Okay, so you are aware of this? We are aware of U.S. citizens who are currently detained in Egypt. They are within the legal system, either in jail or in prison
in Egypt, and we provide consular access to them, which is to say that we do regular visits to make sure that their health and safety is protected and that they have access to all the rights that any Egyptian would under Egyptian law.
Oh, that's the greatest thing about America. You know, their citizen, it's saved anywhere in the world. That's anywhere in the world.
And the same is true, of course, that the Egyptian consulate
Absolutely.
would have access to their prisoners in the United States.
Exactly. Oh, they have the same,
Certainly.
the same access. Yeah. So we have Egyptian American or American Egyptian. They carry both passports and they have issues all the time. You know. So what's the common problems usually those people they come with? I mean, living in the U.S. and coming over here, going back and forth. Because with as an American citizen, I believe we're going to talk about the green card a little bit. But with the green card, I think he cannot stay more than a specific period, and he has to go back to the States. But as a citizen, he can stay whatever is a year, 10 years. So if he decides to stay here for kind of a business or traveling, you know, for any reason, and stay for like 2-3 years, so he will have some requirements. I mean, that's like tax need to be filed. If he is in the Social Security, you know, age or something that he needs to apply. So he does all this stuff over here.
These are a lot of questions. Thank you. First of all, you mentioned Americans living in Egypt for longer periods of time. And let me emphasize that all American citizens must comply with all Egyptian rules and regulations. All Egyptian policies apply to American citizens living or residing or traveling here. So a very important thing that American citizens should remember who want to reside in Egypt is to fully comply with Egypt's immigration laws and make sure that their Egyptian visa status is up to date. Now, if they hold an Egyptian passport, that may not be necessary, but if they don't, they need to make sure that they're in compliance with Egyptian rules and regulations.
Excellent.
But you're correct that the United States would not prohibit an American citizen from residing in Egypt.
If he reside here in Egypt, he still can do this, like, we'll take one thing at a time.
Okay.
Let's say for the Social Security. I mean,
Sure.
people, they got to reach the age of 62 or 65 or whatever.
Correct.
So they can apply for Social Security here, they can get the money.
So actually, the Social Security Agency, their office is actually housed in Naples, Italy, and that office covers Egypt and this entire region. And so American citizens do not apply for their Social Security benefits through us, but we do point them in the direction of the Naples office. Oh. That information is also listed on our website, the U.S. Embassy website here in Cairo. So beneficiaries of Social Security are welcome to take a look at that, and we can point them in the direction of the Social Security office in Italy. But yes, many do receive their benefits that they are already entitled to receive and they've been receiving. They are entitled to receive those overseas as residents overseas as well.
Oh, perfect. And how about filing taxes?
Filing taxes, again, American citizens are responsible for filing taxes, and they do need to do that on their own. That's not a service that the consular section provides. And most Americans who reside abroad can find all the information they need
online
on irs.gov.
It's online.
Their website. That's correct.
Egyptian who carry the green card.
Yes.
You're dealing with the green card as an Americans or as an Egyptian carry a permanent resident?
That's exactly right, and thank you for defining it. A green card is in fact a legal permanent resident card. So it's someone of a different nationality who holds legal permanent residence in the United States. It is not the same as a U.S. citizen. And our consular section, and again, this is true worldwide, has no authority to assist green card or legal permanent residents who are abroad. It's not the same as U.S. citizens. We can only provide consular assistance to U.S. citizens abroad.
Oh, I see.
That's
I see.
correct.
But a green card holder, I believe they cannot stay out of the States, otherwise they will lose.
That's correct. There's a set of rules in order to maintain one's legal permanent residency. And again, I would point green card holders in the direction of the Department of Homeland Security, because that agency, they are the ones who set those rules for green card holders in the United States. And their website has a lot of good information about making sure that one remains a legal permanent residency and keeps that status so they're not out of the country for too long.
For American citizens who live there and maybe from the Egyptian roots or descent or Arab descent. So they have sometimes an emergency and they need maybe the mother or the father or the sister or the brother for any reason to go visit them. So they send them to the over here getting a visa.
Correct.
So what's, I mean, the process of the visa is a little bit confused. People, they don't know. They said, you know, I might take it, I might not take it. Visa, it's too hard to get the visa to the U.S. Even in emergency cases, like someone, someone died there and they have nobody there. So they need a sister or a brother to visit there. So how are you dealing with this? I mean, we'd like also to get some idea about the process of the visa, but first, in emergency cases, how you treat that case?
Certainly. So again, you have a couple of different questions in here, and I want to emphasize that that the United States actually does issue a lot of visas here in Egypt to Egyptians. I think the number was something like 77,000 last year. So it's really remarkable.
Is there a code for the visa? I mean, they have a certain number of visas, or it's
Oh no,
open?
there's no quota. That's correct. Yeah. So again, you know, one of our goals, along with assisting American citizens, is to facilitate legitimate travel to the United States, and we're quite proud to do that for Egyptians. I'm glad to hear you say that Egyptians like to visit the United States.
They love to visit there, and they love to stay there also. To be honest with you, you know, there's a legal way to go through.
Correct, there is. And one thing you mentioned before was all this information that's out there, and you're absolutely right. There's a lot of misinformation about the visa process and about visas themselves.
Yeah, I would like actually to get clear.
Yes, and the absolute best information is on our website and on the Consular Affairs website, which is travel.state.gov. There's excellent information on that website about the visa process, what types of visas are offered, which one's appropriate for the traveler, whether it's student travel or business travel or tourist travel or immigration itself. A lot of very good information on there, and it's the best source of information. And that's where I want to encourage people to go. All Egyptians should look at our website. They should not listen to people. They should not listen to people who are trying to sell them something, sell them misinformation about the visa process. They should go to our website for the best answers about how to apply for the visa. You mentioned emergency cases.
Yes.
There is a process on our website about applying for a visa in an expedited manner, getting an expedited appointment to make sure that because there's an emergency for a family member in the United States, the applicant can apply right away. Now, every applicant must comply with U.S. laws. So just because there's an emergency in the United States doesn't mean that a person is guaranteed a visa. If they are qualified for a visa.
What's made the person, I mean, what make him qualified for this? I mean,
it's a variety of things, and
financial issues.
There's no set recipe for for approval for a visa. There's a whole number of things, and again, I just want to point people to the website because that is really the best information. There's a lot of good information on there about what consular officers are looking for when they're applying for a visa.
Yeah, and people usually they call, get an appointment, and then.
Again, the appointment making information is on our website, as well as the appointments for American Citizen Services. All of that information is on our U.S. Embassy Cairo website, and I would encourage people to look there. Citizens. You also mentioned earlier about Egyptians loving America, and I just want to emphasize how much Americans love visiting Egypt as well. You said something before about problems that Americans face, and I wanted to mention that Americans face very few problems traveling here in Egypt, and that's a wonderful thing.
It must be a common complaint, or, you know, I mean, with the American citizen about Egypt, or what do you think was that common complaint, and how can we avoid it? I'm Egyptian, maybe government or the Egyptian authority can avoid common issues. I'm talking about specifically for
American citizens.
Yes.
I'm being completely honest with you when I will tell you that I don't hear complaints from American citizens traveling in Egypt. The vast majority of Americans come to Egypt and have a wonderfully successful tour. Safe, fantastic. There's so much to see and do here in Egypt that we really don't receive complaints about Egypt from American citizens traveling here. Common problems that all Americans face traveling worldwide. Anyone might be health or traffic accidents, of course. These occur worldwide. And, you know, having a lost or stolen passport. So again, I would encourage, and let me please emphasize, American citizens getting information before they travel. This is true for Egypt and traveling anywhere in the world. Our travel.state.gov website provides a lot of good information about preparing for your travel. And we do, you mentioned registering before. There's no requirement that American citizens register, but we strongly encourage Americans to go to that travel.state.gov website and register their travel. By doing that, they'll have their email address in, and if something comes up, we're able to email them immediately and let American citizens know about a natural disaster or a security threat or a change in the situation that they should be aware of. And so we strongly encourage Americans to go on our website and register their travel.
So how you, I know now it's the visa lottery, the diversify lottery visa. It's going on these days.
That's correct.
And you dealing with this directly? Or,
I'm not, no, but I'm aware of it. And again, our website has a lot of great information. And I should emphasize again, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Absolutely.
So that people interested in the diversity lottery should look to our website only for the right information about that program.
And there's no fees?
There are no fees.
No fees.
There are
Just
no
to
fees.
apply
That's
no
right.
fees.
So anybody asking for fees is selling a fraudulent thing.
Perfect. So how do you see Egypt? Is like safe?
So that's a great question, and a lot of people ask us that. And our position is not to determine whether a country is safe or not. Our position is to give as much information to the traveler as possible. So an American citizen, every American citizen is different. And with the information that we provide, an American may decide that they feel comfortable traveling in another region of the world, or they don't, and that's up to them. The best we can do is arm them with as much information as possible. So the information about Egypt may describe, for example, different regions of the country, may describe some of the threats like driving at night, things like that. Again, I mentioned natural disasters. We send out consular information about hurricanes in the Caribbean every year. So armed with that information, Americans can make decisions on their own that, you know, perhaps somebody doesn't speak the language and they don't have any resources and they've never bought travel insurance before and they may be less comfortable traveling in another region of the world than someone else. Other people are experienced travelers. They can read our information and say, yes, I'd be comfortable traveling in that environment.
Yeah. So for the Egyptian American or American Egyptian, usually when they come to the embassy here, they're getting the same exact treatment like American who has no roots in Egypt.
That's correct. We provide the same services to any American passport holders, whether they were born in the United States or whether they naturalized.
Yeah. One of the benefits actually the United States is given to everyone who deliver a child in the U.S., you know, getting birth over there. So they're getting American citizens. So some people, they go there and, you know, it's by accident or they plan for it to get their baby born there and will have American passport. They believe they will get the benefits like the child. And we just want to clear this.
That's a great question. So you're absolutely right. In almost all cases, people who are born in the United States become U.S. citizens at the time of their birth. There are a few exceptions, for example, the children of diplomats serving accredited to the United States. However, most people born in the United States are granted American citizenship. But you're right, that doesn't change the immigration status of their parents. So, for example, a U.S. citizen who's a child, a minor living here in Egypt, whose parents are not U.S. citizens, just because the child is an American doesn't mean that the parents would necessarily gain any more access to the United States. They would still need to qualify for visas to travel there. and that sort of thing. So the child is an American citizen, having been born in the United States. Definitely.
The American citizen.
American citizen.
Dealing with this as an American citizen.
Correct.
All the time.
Correct. Yes,
Renew his
absolutely.
passport,
Renew his passport,
whatever
provide any emergency services required. Absolutely. Yep. But it does not change the immigration status of the parents.
I would like you to clear to American citizens come and visit Egypt. What's your guideline to them? What your advice? So your advice.
And I have to repeat the advice that American citizens should be prepared with as much information as possible. They should take a look at our website at travel.state.gov. They should register their travel through travel.state.gov in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. STEP is the acronym, Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, STEP. They should register that travel, so if anything changes, they'll get security messages or emergency messages that come through to their emails. They should also look at our tips for travelers on travel.state.gov, which include things like buying health insurance or travel insurance, making sure that their documents are correct. Holding a valid passport is extremely important, and some people forget until shortly before their trip that their passport is about to expire.
Perfect.
Things like that. I would also encourage people to take a close look at our security and safety information and make sure that this is the right place and the right time for them to visit right now.
Any final word to our people in the U.S.?
Well, again, if everyone follows those basic guidelines, and I should just add to carry that information of the U.S. Embassy and our contact information, so that if people do need either routine or emergency services, they know where to come and who to call for those services.
I really appreciate that, Ms. Abdelnaal, and thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. زي ما شفنا اللقاء، أتمنى أن هو يكون عجب حضراتكم وجاوب على أسئلة كثيرة من اللي بتدور في يعني تفكير أي حد. وعلى فكرة أنا سألت القنصل، سألتها سؤال هام جدا مهم بره الهوا. يمكن كان عندها هي بعض يعني التحفظ على الإجابات، ولكن بره الهوا أنا عايز أقول لكم سألتها أخبار مصر إيه وسكيورتي وسيف. قالت لي مصر سيف لأقصى درجة وغير ما احنا كنا متوقعين خالص. هي الست دي سافرت الهند وكولومبيا ودول شرق أوروبا وبوتسوانا وأماكن كتيرة راحتها، يعني هي سينيور. فقالت لي أنا ما شفتش أجمل من مصر ولا أحلى من مصر. وأنا في مصر هنا حتى عندي بناتي أولادي عندها 3 بنات 6 سنين و8 وكده في المدرسة هنا ومبسوطين جدا في مصر. بس بتقولي للأسف إن احنا بنقعد 3 سنين ونمشي. الولاد حبوا هنا وعايزين هنا وفيري سيف، ومفيش أي يعني اللي احنا بنسمع عنه واللي هي كانت متخوفة منه ما لقيتوش خالص. فدي شهادة مهمة جدا. فإن شاء الله يكون اللقاء عجبكم. وزي ما وعدناكم دايما احنا بالجسر بنعبر محيطات واماكن كثيره في العالم، وبيهمنا الاماكن اللي انتم بتحبوها. فان شاء الله يكون لنا حلقات اخرى من لبنان، ان شاء الله قريبا من سوريا، من الامارات، من اماكن كثيره. الجسر يكون موجود ونكون كلنا مع بعض نتواصل بيننا وبين بعض وبيننا وبين اهالينا وبيننا وبين اوطاننا. فالى ان اراكم على خير، والحلقة القادمة إن شاء الله هتكون من نيويورك، وتصبحوا على خير من القاهرة من أمام النيل الخالد. تصبحوا على ألف خير.